Hello, I would like to go through this problem with you. You are given a function f of t, and which is given right here. It's a piecewise function, so we have three pieces. And we want to find the a of x, which is the area function for this function f of x. To warm you up, let's do a of 2 and a of 6 first. When t is 2, a of 2 means the area to the left of 2 and under the graph, which means this shaded, the area of this shaded triangle. So I know that this is 1/2 times the base times the height, and the base is 2 because it's from 0 to 2, and the height is gonna be, the height is right here. So the height is when x is 0, the height of this triangle, it will be 2, because when t is 0, this result is going to be 2. So we can just 1/2 times 2 and 2, which is just 2. So a of 2 is 2. Now for a of 6, now let's look at when x is 6, which is right here, right? A of 6 means the area to the left of 6 and also bounded by the curve, which is this whole red shaded area. Obviously, you see that there are three different shapes. One is this little triangle, the other one is this bigger triangle, and the last one is a trapezoid, right? So basically, to find a of 6, I need to find the area of this triangle, and then plus the area of this bigger triangle plus the area of this trapezoid. So let's find that one by one. The first one, we already found that from above, which is 2. Plus the second one, so let's take a look at here. This is the base is 2, 4 minus 2 is 2. And we also know that the second shape is a triangle. This is a straight line. And so we can figure out its height using this function, right? When t is 4, this is 2 times 4, which is 8. 8 minus 4 is 4. So I do know when t is 4, this is going to be 4 right here. So it's going to be 1/2 times the base is, this is the base, 4 minus 2, which is 2, times the height, which is 4. Now lastly, when we find the area of this trapezoid, we need to figure out, so the formula for trapezoid is 1/2 times the base 1. Let's call this as the base 1, which is 4, right? So 4 plus base 2, which is this guy. This is when x is equal to 6. When t is equal to 6, I'm sorry, I keep using the x, so used to x. So when t is 6, do a little algebra here. 1/2 times 6 plus 6, which is equal to 3. We do know this is 3. Times the height. You can think of this as the height, this green portion as the height of this trapezoid. And you can see that it is equal to 2, right? And if after the algebra, this is going to be 7, you can see this is 13. So a of 6 is 13. So this is really just warm up to make sure that you know what this a of x means. Alright, next we want to develop a more general formula for this area function a of x. Now you have to be careful to think about this x as being some random value between 0 to 8. So let's take a look at this graph. When x is here, any value in between 0 to 2, right? When x is somewhere in between 0 to 2, the area to the left is always the area of a trapezoid, which means this shape. This is true for any value when x is in between this area, because when x is here, do you see that it's still a trapezoid, right? So therefore I'm gonna say, now when x is less than 2 and greater than or equal to 0, it's always going to be a of x is always going to be the area of a trapezoid, which looks like this. That's what it looks like this. And we need to find a formula for this. So basically it's going to be 1/2 times the base 1. Let's call this as base 1 right here. This is my base 1, which is always 2, plus, now my base 2 is whatever your x value, the height of this x value, right, below the curve. So really depends on x. And how do we know this height? Now you take advantage of this function, the formula for this function. So it will be negative x plus 2 in this case, because it is called x, right? So the height of this guy will be negative x plus 2. So this is the height of the base 2 times. Now the height of this trapezoid is considered this distance. Obviously this is 0, this is x, so the height is going to be x. So I will write x, and I need to simplify it. So you can verify this algebra for me, but this is after a little simplification 1/2. This is negative x plus 4 times x. I'll just leave it as like this. So this is when x is in between 0 to 2. Now what if x is not here? What if x is somewhere to the right of 2? So say somewhere here, right? What if x is somewhere here? Or what if x is somewhere here? Now take a look at this. The area to the left in this case will be this little triangle, always there, no matter what you, as long as your x is somewhere in between 2 and 4, this is always included. Plus the area to the left of this x is another little triangle, depending on where your x is. It sometimes can be a smaller triangle or a larger triangle. Now I'm gonna just say this is my x. Okay, so in other words, for the second, when x is in between 2 and 4, my area looks like this. One is this little triangle plus this another triangle, right? So how do I find this formula? It's gonna be the area of this first triangle is 1/2 times the base times the height, plus, now keep in mind your x is here now, right? So this is the triangle you're talking about. And let's look at the base. The base is from 2 to x, therefore the base is 1/2 times the base is x minus 2, because from 2 to x the distance is x minus 2. And what about the height? What about the height here? You have to look at your second piece of the function. So the second piece says when t is from 0 to 4, which is the case, the height of the function is 2 times t minus 4, so therefore it will be 2 times x minus 4. So this is it when x is from 2 to 4, and of course you need to simplify. I'll leave it to you to simplify. Now I should continue because when I place my x somewhere beyond 4, say somewhere here, and the graph looks a little bit different now, because the area to the left include first of all still the same little triangle. Secondly, it includes this whole larger triangle, right? And plus a little this yellow blue shaded trapezoid. This is my base, this is another base, this is the height. So now I'm gonna work it out. So first of all, it's gonna be an area of a triangle plus an area of another higher triangle plus the area of a trapezoid, right? That's what you see. That's the when x is greater than or equal to 4, less than 8, less than or equal to 8. Now the area of the first triangle is 1/2 times 2 times 2, plus the area of the second triangle is 1/2 times, now the base here is actually 2. From 2 to 4 the distance is 2, so the base is 2. And the height is, when x is 4, the height is 4. So how do I know the height is 4? Because I can use this second piece when t is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 4 is 4. So the height is 4 for this particular function. Therefore, I have the base is 2, like we said. I'm going to erase that. The base is 2. The height is 4, right? So that's for this triangle, and the area for the trapezoid is 1/2 times the first base, which is 4, plus the second base. So let's take a look at the height of this base. It has to do with the very last piece, this function right here. So when this is x, this height should be negative 1/2 of x plus 6. That's the height. Where is it from? It's coming from the third piece defined in the function. So now we are finishing this now. So this is 4 plus negative 1/2 of x plus 6 times the height. The height is right here, the distance from 4 to x, which is x minus 4. So again, I'll leave you to simplify this particular expression, but this is how, after the simplification, that's the area function. Enjoy.